Greetings, and thank you for joining our NCCAP Flip meeting. This will be updates up to January 2014. So we're hoping that this Flip meeting will provide us with an opportunity to have more time to work deliberately on items for NCCAP. And so when we talk about what is a Flip meeting, this is basically where we send out all of the information in a multimedia format, and you're able to look at it and preview it prior to the meeting. Very much similar like an agenda, but with the voiceovers or videos, graphs, charts, etc. What we're hoping that are some of the benefits is that it'll provide us more time for ideas and strategic planning, as hopefully in this session we'll find out, and allow us for also research and clarifying questions for you to pose. We're also going to integrate a part of a Google form, which allows you to place feedback in on a constant basis, even after we have the meetings. So first, I want to definitely say thank you all as an advisory board. I know I definitely came in August, Lauren came in July, but we want to say thank you for all that you have done, and hopefully we'll continue to do for our students here in North Carolina. We also hope that those of you who are considering joining us for another 2 years, we'll have some opportunities to have those discussions. I would love to work with as many of you as possible as your time commitments will allow in the next upcoming year, and we'll talk more about that later on. So thank you. I want to say thank you to Joanne Norris, who has been with the forum since its inception and who's been a strong supporter of NCCAP along that time. And so we definitely want to say thank you for all of the service that she's provided to the forum and NCCAP over the years. We want to say thank you to We also want to welcome in our new Executive Director and President, Keith. Keith was, if some of you are not familiar, Keith served on our NCCAP Advisory Board. And so he now serves still on the NCCAP Advisory Board, but in a different capacity. So we definitely want to welcome Keith. In this current semester, we have an intern, Jen, from Michigan, graduate of Grand Valley State University, and currently working on her master's at North Carolina State University. So we'd like to welcome Jen as well. And future meetings, she will be able to bring information about her project that she's working on. We'd now like to present you with our updates. As many of you may know, Synergy 2014 is March the 24th through the 26th. So we look forward to seeing as many of you at the event as possible. If you're not able to make it, we understand, but definitely please see if your schedules are free Monday night on March the 24th. We would love to have as many of our board members on that Monday night for us to be able to show our appreciation for the 2 years of service that you all have done, and for some of those who are more than 2 years. So please let Lauren know if you're available March the 24th. The roadmap is still on the road. Lauren will be presenting the roadmap at the North Carolina Parent Teachers Association Conference. We'll be presenting it at the Communities in Schools Conference. And we are looking at a collaboration with the Vidant Foundation in Eastern North Carolina to have town hall meetings or local conversations about the roadmap of need in their community. And they have pledged to provide us their facilities for those meetings, which is very gracious. So we will keep you updated as those events occur. Here we have the 10 trends in after school for 2014 from the National After School Association. These 10 trends are relevant across our country at this time. Here in North Carolina, I just want to talk about what NCCAP is doing around these 10 trends. In the first one, the Makers Movement, we're working with the North Carolina Center of Innovative Nanobiotechnology to develop a center of gravity in Guilford County. This center of gravity will be a STEM entrepreneurial effort to build upon making and evolving STEM-related businesses on a smaller scale. We've just begun those conversations, and we look forward to providing you with more information. STEM instructional training, we're facilitating through the revision of our NOIS grant, which will allow us to integrate the mass training and also some virtual options that are across the nation and locally here in North Carolina. Our sports-based youth development, we're still working with the United States Tennis Association, and in this coming year, starting in March, we will begin to enhance that sports-based youth development through the ACE program, which is a great program, and more information on that to come. Our Common Core efforts, we will see in this year's Synergy, the Common Core in after-school environment for English language arts and for math will be provided by the Department of Public Instruction. So both of the section chiefs have agreed to have a consultant at our Synergy conference to talk about Common Core and after school, and they're really looking at it from the aspect of how do you integrate what's going on from the school day in the after school environment, the enrichment aspect. And creating a professional field of practice, we know that we currently have and still going through our professional development website, which we're evaluating at this time. So as you see, NCCAP is going through these 10 trends, and we've been ahead of many of the trends, but we have some that we want to integrate over the course of the next year or two. Now the grant updates from the year of 2013. A grant that we are a partner in is the American Promise Documentary Screening. This is a partnership between UNCTV, the Department of Public Instruction, and NCCAP. An outcome from the documentary screenings will be a town hall meeting that will be held in February and produced and presented in March on UNCTV on Black male achievement in North Carolina. If you would like to have a copy to preview or would like to have a screening in your local community, please let me know. A grant that we received for a program we're developing called Minorities Exposed to Computer Science, or MEX, is in partnership with Fayetteville State University and Startup High. The funder of this particular grant is requiring us to target African American males and females to learn computer programming in after school. The students will then create a business plan around computer science, skills, or a need that computer science can address, and have an opportunity in the summer to go on a week-long entrepreneurial experience that will help them develop their business plan further. Our goal is in 2015 to have students who've developed a completed business plan to present it at Synergy and have feedback from either a venture capitalist perspective or from potential funders of the students' ideas. We would love to have support from our advisory board as we go further with this. This is a 6-month grant, and once it is over, we are starting to analyze sustainability currently. So if you're interested in being a partner within developing the sustainability model, please let me know. We are pleased to announce that our grant is getting renewed by the U.S. Tennis Association. Not only is it getting renewed, but we're also introducing an enrichment part of our after-school tennis program, which is ACE. And the ACE program encourages students to use math, writing, and reading skills in the after-school environment, all while participating in tennis. That officially will kick off in March of 2014. Our Noyce Foundation STEM grant has been revised, is currently being revised, and will be reviewed by the Noyce partners. Within that, we are looking at defining our STEM hubs, which we hope will correlate with our regional hubs that we're going to talk about later on in this presentation. The A.J. Fletcher Foundation, which currently funds our 3 to 6 campaign, is coming to an end. We plan to rewrite with the same advocacy focus, but to expand the thoughts of our hours of opportunity being before school, summers, and weekends, and of course after school. We also plan to include in this the development of a heat map, which allows us to digitize our roadmap of need and have an opportunity for after school providers, expanded learning providers across our state to register their programs so that you can have a GPS lock on program services in your area. We look forward for your assistance as we develop the hours of opportunity over the next few years. Our North Carolina GlaxoSmithKline Foundation funding, which helps us with Stimulate Your After School, we will be changing that to now Get Stimulated. This will have the same focus of out of school time opportunities for STEM, but we will also be looking for how do we stimulate other programs across our state as well. So any of those programs that are expanded learning opportunities, how do we get them involved in STEM if that is their plan to be involved in STEM? And helping them create sustainability plans, having them conversate about the project needs that they have, etc. So more on that as we develop that. Just wanted to make sure that we also give a plug for our communications here at the Forum and NCCAP. You see both have Facebook pages, our Twitters at NC Forum and at NC After School. So if you have a Twitter account, please feel free to place that information in your Twitter feed and follow us. We also have the Friday Report and the After School Observer. The After School Observer comes out monthly on a Thursday. The Friday Report comes out every Friday. And we're also developing our Soapbox series, which we hope to have each of you involved in over the next few months. Our websites are below. If you have any information, any questions, please feel free to contact us. So with the grant outlook, we're looking at the National Science Foundation has 2 grants. So the first is the iTest grant for 3 years. We'd like to do that through middle grades, identifying the lower 20% of the counties of the roadmap of need as our targets. Using primary partnerships with the historically black colleges and universities here in North Carolina. Creating virtual labs for the after-school providers that will be able to extend the science and math curriculum, working with the teachers on that, and being able to take these modules and things that are produced and providing them in the home base, which is our statewide system that teachers share ideas and works on. They will vet them and only put out the ones that are our strongest ones for those grade levels, especially in science. The other is, of course, the AISL, and the AISL is a 5-year grant all about advancing informal STEM learning. And so we're looking at how do we engage our grassroots science museums, how do we then get those museums and the things that they do to collaborate with the higher eds here in North Carolina and develop virtual products and manuals or modules, if you will, that we can now put in the hands of teachers in the after-school environment, teachers in the classroom, and then be able to have the museum faculty and staff come out to the students and work with them and integrate the technology. So having these conversations will be key. Of course, again, this provides us with another opportunity to put something into home base and get it vetted by the Department of Public Instruction. The other grant that we're looking at is Gear Up for 2014. The U.S. Department of Education is releasing another Gear Up grant opportunity this March. This will be a very aggressive timeline. Gear Up is a 7-year grant that follows students particularly from 7th grade in middle school all the way to their first year in college. So it's about building the skill set of students who are in a school or school system that is 50% free or reduced lunch, at least. That's the minimum requirement for selecting a school. This is a grant that requires match. Match is not always just funding, but it will require dedication of time and partnerships in the school districts that are selected. And that's one of the things that we're looking at developing in this is a hub type of a mentality. So a grassroots college readiness hub, if you will, in each of the school districts with their businesses, chambers in particular, other entities and community colleges that can revolve around the concept of college and career readiness. We are excited that this is available. The next time this grant will come about will be 3 years from now. So Gear Up grants are very competitive. They are also they're very much held on for research purposes that they are done about every 3 years in a cycle. This opportunity came across my desk as I was a former Gear Up director in Western North Carolina with a partnership grant, which is what this would be. Another design element that will be a first for Gear Up would be having two states work together. And so our state that we're thinking about working with is the South Carolina After School Network, where they have a pretty strong network and partners like we do here. And so we feel that that would be a very unique situation to have two states in which we're creating college readiness hubs and providing opportunities for students to receive some insight into the two states. The program itself would be housed here at the forum, and we would need a fiscal agent, particularly one that is a higher ed partner or a school district. At the current time, we've spoken with the School of Science and Math as potential, but we are looking for another possibility just in case. And so that is all the information on the Gear Up grant, and I look forward to conversing with you all around that shortly. As you see here is our list of counties that we have in North Carolina and South Carolina. Along the way, the primary thing that we're looking at is that if Gear Up is funded here in North Carolina, somewhere close to 20 to 25% of our state will have an opportunity to receive funding for college and career readiness. In South Carolina, if funded, 50% of their state will be receiving funding for college and career readiness. The critical criteria to remember is these are in schools that are 50% free or reduced lunch at least. So we're talking about supplementing schools that are on a tight budget due to a lot of fiscal limitations. In the next few weeks, I have a webinar, and actually in the next few days, I have a webinar around the Mott After School Network grant. So this will be my first time doing this particular grant here. This is our 3-year grant that is supported by the Charles S. Mott Foundation for After School Networks across the country. So we're really excited about getting in and working on that and seeing what are the needs that we have to have for our grant. Other opportunities that we have out there that if you have any knowledge of or would like to provide us some information on, we want to look for funding opportunities around literacy, hours of opportunity, which of course is the expanded learning model, health and wellness, Center of Innovative Learning. So these are the maker models, if you remember from earlier I mentioned. Computer science and engineering, which we've already received funding from one particular initiative to start some pilots, but some more, and the arts. And I think that that's a really relevant field to have some conversation around. The biggest thing to remember is these programs or these grants are not for programming here at the forum, but mainly for being able to look at best practices and analyze the things that are going on, build capacity within our state for programs to expand their opportunities to their communities, to engage in high quality activities in their communities for students that will benefit our educational communities, such as our schools, our colleges, our community colleges, etc. You've heard me mention several times about hours of opportunity, and that's any time out of school time, that's before school, after school, summer, weekends, that a student can expand upon their learning. And so I think the foundation of that, of course, is our roadmap of need. And developing a digital map, a heat map, if you will, of the roadmap of need is really going to be important as we move into that particular type of language. It also is important to try and develop a system where out of school time providers and all providers and programs can be identified through a map. And so in this heat map, we would like to have some GPS options, which would be able to say, if I live in the area code 27612, what are the programs in that area code? And that begins to develop the capacity of our communities. If we're looking at economic development, if I'm a business and I want to recruit, they can then use this heat map, if you will, for recruitment sake. School districts can begin to look at, what's going on in their school district and how to collaborate, and is this making an impact? How to build up their district improvement plans, etc. And also be able to put things like the finance study from the forum into a means where it can be accessible as well, and other items that we would do that have data that is statewide that is of importance. So now here is the action items. After this particular amount of information, what we're looking for is having you all come together and provide us with an idea of how to connect programs and providers. So what networks do we need to establish and continue to establish? Where are some of our gaps that we need to work and strengthen? Where are some opportunities that we have not traditionally looked at? As we look at that, when we are looking at making hubs or defining hubs, what is a regional hub? What are the partnerships that need to be in place? Who needs to be at the table? We know there's providers, we know that there's programs, but are there any other entities that you can think of that need to be at the table? We mentioned this in our last board meeting, and I want to bring this back, our belief statements. So what are the things that we say that we believe as this Center for After School Programs? What are our beliefs that we want to project out? And so I would like to get your assistance and hear from you all what the beliefs are. And then when we look at work groups, here are the work groups that we currently have, and the literacy work group is fairly new. It has not formed yet or formulated. This was one of the work groups that I had on my very first document as I came in of something I saw as a need, and so I have our literacy group here. We'll be looking for volunteers and people to be on those work groups, and any of these work groups. And for the funders work group, we're going to reconvene that work group to work on updating the funders work group information. Our work groups are the big thing that I like to challenge each one with is a product. So the professional development work group is currently going to revise or look at to see if it needs revision and revise when needed, our self-assessment and core competencies if possible, if needed. The funders work group has a document that they'll assess and see if that needs to be updated and changed. The STEM work group, I'm going to reconvene that work group and begin to get our statewide STEM advisory group going again, and also looking at our regional STEM work groups, all based on that regional hub mentality. And then being open to you all for ideas and suggestions. Are there any other work groups that we should have? Are there any work groups that need to change, or things that we need to see out of work groups? The final action item, or one next to the last action item that we want you to be prepared for, is the 2010-2013 Sustainability Plan, which is sent to you in a PDF form. Look at that and see if that's something that, if there are things in it we need to change, elements that we need to add to it, etc., so that we can begin to work on the next one for the 2014 to 17 plan. In case you have not been able to see our Education 24/7 document, here at the forum, it gives you a definition of expanded learning. And so our question as we work on this is, what are the current programs that would fall into this definition? Are there programs out there that we are maybe not targeting that would actually fall in this expanded learning idea? And then once we have talked about what are the programs that are out there, how can we network in these programs together, and provide more opportunities for them to connect together? One of the things that I feel would be a pretty effective strategy would be to have 8 learning hubs. And these 8 learning hubs, and this map should look fairly familiar, as this is the identical map to the Department of Public Instruction, if I'm not mistaken, for regions. And so we would just use the 8 learning hubs, and this now gives us an opportunity to tie in formal and informal collaboration with the Department of Public Instruction, but also would give us opportunity to have some information that we can pass along and who to pass along with at the state level. In each region, we could have a regional liaison, and that would be a person who is able to facilitate in their region different networking meetings in a smaller scale that then can come to maybe a quarterly meeting of some sort where it's just myself and maybe Lauren or someone from the Center for After School Programs will travel and we can have different meetings for these 8 individuals to attend. So we want to get feedback on that idea, or is there another idea that we have? And these, as I call them, 8 learning hubs or regional hubs. The reason I call them learning hubs is because any type of initiatives that we would like to see, we would actually try and put them into that those 8 regions and be able to now disseminate from the information that we have, what are the things that are going on in those hubs, who's doing it right, best practices in our state, and passing those along to each other on a more consistent basis. So the question is, what components or structures are needed to be in each region, and what partnerships should exist in the regions? Finally, what components or structures are needed to be in each region? So what are the partnerships? What are the things that each of those areas would need in order to kick off a hub? And I know that some may start more than others, and there's a high attrition rate in our out-of-school programs, but I think the concept, if we can get the concept to think of working together and collaborating. A question that just came up on Friday, which delayed my sending this out, is about expanded learning database. So we received a RFP to actually see if we would be interested, along with other state networks, in developing from the National Conference of State Legislators a expanded learning data system that can share the data with state legislators and legislative staff about expanded learning and its impact in our state. And so what we want to ask, or what I definitely want to find out, is what type of data would we need to collect to show this relevancy of expanded learning opportunities. Now we will be looking at a statewide opportunity to connect. Getting near the end, finally, we want to invite those who have not been team members for the National Network meeting, May the 19th through the 22nd. Please feel free to let us know if you're interested. Our task for that, and that's not a task for today, but the task for that will be to design thinking topics for NCCAP in 2014. That will be our push moving forward. So travel and lodging, of course, is provided by NCCAP. We're looking forward to having members who will contribute to the design process, and so we're getting that out. So it could be anywhere from 3 to 4 additional members, including Lauren and myself. Lauren and I are also putting together our RFPs. So she's going to put an RFP on the roadmap of need. and I'm doing one on how to disseminate data in the leadership of expanded learning opportunities at a statewide level. And so we're looking forward for someone to go with us or some individuals to go with us. So just let us know. So we're at the end, and I hope you've enjoyed what you can of the flip meeting and you didn't get too sleepy. Um, my advisory board members, I like to say that we hope that as many of you as possible are able to return. Um, and I do understand if you have other commitments moving forward. If you're not able to return, if you could provide us with recommendations of some persons you feel that are able to help move the opportunities that are existing in our state ahead. One of the things I've learned about North Carolina since I've been here and I've been in other states working is that in North Carolina, we're probably one of the most innovative states in the country. And I think it takes leaving the state to appreciate that. And so I work very hard and diligently to try and ensure that our students have these opportunities and our communities have these opportunities. And so I will fight, literally tooth and nail if I have to try and get what's best for our communities in our state. And so, and with you all at my back, I feel like that I have a really good chance. And so I've enjoyed our year, almost not a full year, but almost our year together. I look forward to those of us who are able to continue working on the advisory board to continue to do so. If you are planning on separating, then we'll be able to still be in contact. So don't be surprised when you see my email pop up from time to time. And if you aren't able to return, please be able to send us some recommendations as we begin to move forward. With that, I did this little video scribe as I'm one of those tech folks that I like to do different things. And so I hope you enjoy it. I'll see you on February the 4th.